I'm Joy Taylor. He was Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Good
Hi,
morning, guys.
Joy. How are you?
I'm good.
How are you, Shannon?
Skip, why you do that?
Well, I didn't do anything. I
You
said
did.
hi.
You know I talk to Joy
God,
first.
are you paranoid?
You know I always speak to Joy first, and you try to one-up me.
Sorry, it's your
Take
show.
it back. Good morning, Joy. How are you today?
Good morning, Shannon.
Good. How are you, Skip?
By the way, I told Mr. Snoop Dogg yesterday, the Snoop Dogg, that I would wear his necklace on air. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Ah, look at Skip.
Skip!
The gin and juice chain. I like it.
You show enough a rapper now. You wear your chain outside of the...
Huh? I'm not really a gin and juice guy, but for Snoop Dogg, I'll do it.
A Mountain Dew and Propel guy.
I know. That's what
what you should have.
And he gave me sunflower seeds. That was really sweet of him.
Yeah, he gave your boy that starter pack.
I'm surprised to see you here today, actually.
You know, I'm not yet.
After all that
You
stuff.
gotta pace yourself. Don't do it all at once.
Yeah.
Whew. You ingested a lot of stuff yesterday after the show.
I went on them. I started to get on them gummies after I heard about this Kevin Love we were going to talk about.
What did that stuff have in it? I was just wondering.
No, don't worry
No?
about it.
Don't worry about it? This is probably a little too distracting, so I'm going to put it back inside.
I might hit your
this
microphone.
debate.
Yeah. That's good, though.
Yeah.
Shout out to Snoop.
Skip
Thank
got
you.
the three-piece and the chain.
Looking good today.
And by the
Lots of
beat
drama
down.
to talk about. But let's start with the drama in New England. Tom Brady is headed to his 8th Super Bowl, but there's still a lot to talk about his right hand. After Sunday's win, Belicchick said, quote, "We're not talking about open heart surgery." Then yesterday, the coach and quarterback again gave differing views on Brady's hand. Let's take a listen.
We ran into each other, and my thumb just got bent back. It wasn't his helmet or anything. It just kind of got bent back. That's why I thought it was a lot worse. The doctors, we went and checked it out just to kind of check on everything, and fortunately there wasn't the damage that normally comes associated with that. So I think we're very lucky. It was pretty stressful. I think I was stressed out. You drive home and you got all these stitches in your hand in a place. I got home and I saw my wife and she said, "What happened?" And I said, "I know, it's just an accident practice." And she said, "What's going to happen?" I said, "I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes."
This is a lot more of a media circus than it was a football crisis. I never really saw it that way. I don't think anybody did. It was what it was, and sometimes things happen during the week, and then usually if they happen early enough and they're not too serious, they have a chance to resolve, and that's basically what happened.
Shannon, what's going on here?
Skip, I don't know how you feel about this, but you know this is not going to end well, don't you? You know it.
I agree with that.
Because when the Seth Wickersham story first came out, within an hour, Mr. Kraft, Coach Belicchick, Tom Brady all released a joint statement saying we're united as ever. On Sunday on the NFL Network, Mr. Kraft says we're going to do our very best to keep this thing going as long as we possibly can, but we got to get these egos in check. Now, we're united, but now we got egos. So it goes to show me there is a lot more truth than fiction in that story that Seth Wickersham wrote about the upheaval that's going on in New England.
Bingo.
Coach Belicchick made it very abundantly clear. On Sunday, he got annoyed. He seemed almost annoyed that this was a story. He's like, we're going to a Super Bowl, and you're talking about a thumb? Skip, and it was like, and Tom was like, I was worried about it, and I didn't know because it never happened before, and I'm like, man, this can't be how our season ends on a Wednesday practice.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Belicchick was like, and there was never a chance that you were not going to play. And see, the thing is, Skip, normally the protocol is, and this is what we know, quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks of Tom Brady's ilk, normally have a very close relationship with the owner. John Elway was once in business with Mr. B. Pat Bowlen, the owner of the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
So there's normally a great relationship. Mm-hmm. But I can assure you that when John pulled his hamstring in '98, John didn't call Mr. B. That was left up to the athletic trainer, Steve Antonopoulos, Greek, or Mike Shanahan.
Yep.
There's a chain. Coach Belicchick strikes me as a guy that he loves the process. The process is me. Mm-hmm. I tell Mr. Kraft, or as he called him, Bob, what's going on.
Correct.
Nobody circumvents me.
Nope.
Even the athletic trainer. He's going to ask Coach Belicchick first. Coach Belichick's going to say, okay, go ahead and tell him what's going on. But somehow, Tom Brady circumvented the process, which started the Coach Belichick to get upset with this. And that's what, Skip, that's all I was saying. And maybe I phrased it wrong. I'm not saying Tom Brady didn't get injured. I was saying the veracity and how injured was he. And Coach Belichick basically confirmed what I've been trying to say, that this was a media circus. He's upset that Tom Brady got this information out there because I don't believe this came from the Patriots. Somebody from Tom Brady's leaked this information because they're not injury. 12 stitches, 12. Why not 10? Why not 8? Why not 13, 14? 12.
Well, it was a 12-stitch laceration. I don't know. Sometimes there's 16 stitches.
So why not the TB16? Why not the TB8? Oh, I'm just saying, Skip, that's neither here nor there. But I just think the thing is, Coach Belichick is upset. Coach Belichick has been in this position for 18 years. I believe this is the first time that Mr. Kraft has overruled Coach Belichick
So do I.
on any football-related issue.
Agreed.
And he's saying, after my resume,
Yep.
after my background, you going to question me on this? Why? It all started with he wanted Jimmy Garoppolo, and Mr. Kraft gave him basically an ultimatum. You will do this.
Yep.
Skip, even though this might have been the first time, it's hard, and you know this. You can do something 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, but when you meet resistance, even for the very first time, that's a problem. Why now? Why are you telling me no now? Why are you not trusting my football acumen now? And that rubbed Coach Belichick the wrong way. Tom Brady tries to play it up, and Coach Belichick come right behind him and put both feet on it and stomps it down.
He did.
And that's what he's continued to. I don't think this ends well. Now, they can put on all the public face they can want, all they want to. They can say we're united as ever, all they want to. But this is not united. Coach Belichick could have easily gone along with it and said, hey, we didn't know it was a wait-and-see process, but he goes out of his way to make sure this is not that serious. It was never that serious. There was never a chance Tom Brady wasn't going to play in this ball game. And so for anybody else to think otherwise is being ridiculous and trying to make more of a situation that needs to be made.
And I'm going to remind you that the flashpoint of this crisis came when it was made public, I guess, by Brady, that he FaceTimed. No, Kraft said it. He said it. He said it on Saturday night, and I'm sure that got immediately back to the head coach, who did not love the fact that the owner is saying publicly on Saturday night on some Patriots Live or something, you know, it's a whatever, some Patriots show, that Tom Brady, his quote-unquote son, FaceTimed him while he was in a restaurant. I think they were in Fort Lauderdale. He was just taking a little winter break from Boston weather, and he takes the FaceTime, and I'm sure at that point, this was Wednesday evening, that he just held his hand up and said, look what I got. And
now, you remember Eric Dixon sat right here and said when they was in Israel, Tom Brady will FaceTime Mr. Kraft.
In Israel. Okay? So, Mr. Kraft said that he immediately scrapped the rest of his vacation
I ain't even hungry anymore.
Yep. I'm going home. And he didn't take the next flight because he had his own flight, right?
Yes.
Back to Boston, back to Foxborough to check out his son, Tom Brady, just to make sure it was going to be okay.
Probably drove to Tom's house in the middle of the night.
He probably did. So, I agree with you. Bill Belichick lost a power struggle effectively with his quarterback. Bill Belichick intended this year, as you and I talked about all offseason, to be Tom's swan song with the Patriots. Now, Tom could go on and try to end it elsewhere.
Correct.
But all of a sudden, Coach Belichick had his own son named Jimmy Garoppolo, who he was treating like a son. I think that kid really got to Belichick.
Yes.
I think he really loved him on and off the field, and still does.
He praised
did not. Oh, did he? Whew. And he did not want to give him up. He picked him in the second round, diamond in the rough. Here we go into one last hurrah with the Patriots for Belichick under Jimmy G. See if he could go win a Super Bowl with Jimmy G, which he clearly thought he could do. But Mr. Kraft said, no, you will trade Jimmy Garoppolo before the deadline. And I'm going to contend, so death do his part, that I think he sabotaged the Patriots going forward. He just gave him away to another guy he likes, a young man named Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. Did you like Jimmy Garoppolo for only a second-round pick? Could have gotten a lot more. Sabotaged Mr. Kraft and son going forward. And here we are, and that led to this. So, to me, this is like open warfare. It's between the lines, but it's open warfare. I've never seen anything like this. And I'm surprised more people aren't saying, what is going on here? Because Belichick is coming across to me like a typical Brady hater. And I put quotes around hater, but a little bit like a Shannon Sharp. Not that you're a Brady hater, but you'd be the first to try to discount a little bit, discredit a little bit, try to undercut, try to disqualify just a little bit. Okay, he's gotten enough praise in his career. Let's not heap any more praise on him. That's the way Belicchick came across. And the line, the flashpoint line is that Joy read, I think it was more of a media circus than a football crisis. So let's step back for a second. On the eve of the AFC Championship game, the Wednesday practice, a freak accident occurs to the quarterback that most of us agree is the greatest quarterback of all time. He is the biggest reason that you have that you can overcome the Jacksonville defense is Tom Brady, because I don't think Brian Hoyer's going to be able to get that done.
No.
Okay?
No.
I don't think so, right?
No.
And the freak accident is a laceration that initially looks like a thumb injury that could be ligament damage, it could be badly sprained, it could be fractured, it could be a lot of things, but they dodged that.
Right.
But it was lacerated on the inside of his thumb and required whatever, 10 plus stitches. Let's go with 10 plus. 2. Okay, 10 plus 2. And could we just for a second see the picture of that thumb on Sunday? I just want to get it. Again, I'm not trying to overstate this, but the thumb is clearly swollen. Wouldn't you agree at the base of the thumb it's swollen?
Maybe he got little fat fingers. Maybe they're just fat, Joe.
You know what? I don't think Tom Brady has any fat on him at all. His thumb is swollen. And again, I opened the show yesterday. Until you brought it up, I didn't bring it up because it became irrelevant to the game because it worked. But let's think about this. In the sport of football, there is one skill, and that is the accuracy and touch with which you throw a football. It is close as anything in the sport of football, your sport, to an art form.
Yeah.
It requires finesse, right? It requires a delicate sort of grip where everything's in place.
Yeah.
And if anything in that grip is slightly off, if the ball is coming out like a quarter of an inch different than usual, well, 5 yards down the field or 50 yards down the field, it's going to be way off target, right? It's like hitting a golf shot. If you miss it by a tenth of an inch, it's going to be 20 yards right.
Like a pitcher with a blister on his pitcher.
Okay, all right, same thing, where it just won't work, and you get discouraged, and certainly under AFC Championship game pressure and under the Jacksonville rush, bad things can happen.
Right.
Because if you do have whatever stitches, 10 plus 12 stitches, if you put your hands under center and you catch it wrong on the bandage that's across it, could it split? Could one of the stitches snap? Could it start to bleed? Could you have a sticky grip because it's bleeding while you're trying to throw, and so the ball's coming out funky? I don't know. It's scary. So it led Tom Brady to say on his radio show, they had like dueling radio shows yesterday, I wasn't sure. I really wasn't. Well, how could he be on Wednesday and Thursday? How could you be sure how you're going to be able to handle a football under pressure with stitches in your hand? And as he said, we were lucky because nothing was broken or there was no ligament damage. But he says it was pretty stressful. I was stressed out. Well, who wouldn't be stressed out? You're a quarterback playing against that defense, and you missed one day of practice, and you're just unsure of your grip. Well, isn't that... Again, I'm not trying to overcredit Tom. I'm not trying to create a new storyline, and oh my God, did you see what he pulled off? I'm just saying the reality was that was a football crisis. Seriously. It's your quarterback.
Well, I think the thing for Tom, what made it scary is because he had never had to deal with anything like this before.
No.
You know, maybe a sore shoulder, maybe a sore knee, sore ankle.
Yeah.
Those are things that most...
You know how to manage that. Right.
It's the unknown.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how is this going to affect my throwing? If I take, as you mentioned, if I take the snap, is it going to jar it?
Yeah.
If I get sacked and all of a sudden I forget that it's injured and I put my hand to try to break the fall. So all those things I'm sure played into his mind. But Coach Belichick's like, guys, this wasn't nearly as serious as you and Tom is making.
But it turned out not to be. Right. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. He threw it beautifully.
You know what I think, Skip? Coach Belichick, this is what we know about Coach Belichick. When you come to New England, the Patriot way is Patriots first, teammate second, you're third. Coach Belichick believed that Tom Brady and this injury had taken the place of the team. It was starting to be more of a story than what they had just accomplished. And he's trying to suppress this. He doesn't want anyone. We know Tom's special. we understand that whatever he's given throughout that organization is well deserved. But in Coach Belichick's eyes, in order for him to still maintain that level of credibility, is that I got to treat Tom just like anyone else, and I can't let Tom's thumb be the story of over what the team just accomplished.
Okay, I get that. But again, you could at least pay a little cliched lip service to it
He didn't even
after the game. What's that?
He said Tom was tough.
Tom's tough. But you could have said, I'm just throwing it out there, you could have said, we were all concerned on Wednesday and Thursday, and we were all very thankful it turned out well. Okay, just something like that, right?
Yeah.
But he just dismissed it out of hand, and you can't, because it's not the kind of thing in football. It's the one thing in football you can't say, suck it up and play. It's just it's the grip on the football. It's as close to it's as close to art as you can get, because it's a highly refined skill. How many people on the planet can throw a football that way under that kind of pressure? There are like 6 or 8, maybe, maybe.
Because if you think about it, Skip, think about there's only 32 teams, and most teams don't have 3. So let's just say there's 75 quarterbacks of 7 billion people in the world do what these guys do, and only a handful, maybe 3 or 4, can do what Tom Brady does now, and only a handful has ever been able to throw the ball as well as he has.
Yeah.
So obviously it's going to play. I think it was going to be more of a mind thing than maybe the injury thing, because like I said, he had never had to deal with anything like this before. And again, Skip, Coach Belichick says the Patriot way. We're going to put our teammates before ourselves, and then whatever happens after that. Coach Belichick does not like the fact that this injury is being talked about more than what they just accomplished. I believe that, and also the fact he's still seething that he lost that power struggle. And he didn't lose it with Mr. Kraft. He lost it with TB12. That's the problem that he has.
Right. That's why it's unspoken, quiet, open warfare between the two of them. Did they talk?
If Brady played right along with Skip, he heard what Coach Belichick said after what he said on Sunday. He goes right back on his radio show on Monday, and Coach Belichick says, I got a radio show too. And unfortunately, mine comes on after yours, so I'm going to shoot it down again.
Shoot it down again. He did not back off. And I'm going to remind everyone, this open warfare to me started shortly after the Deflategate allegations were levied by the Indianapolis Colts after that AFC Championship game. Remember that? Because on the Saturday before they took off on Sunday to fly to Phoenix for the Seattle Super Bowl, Bill Belichick, out of nowhere, called his own press conference. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Did it by himself, and the message was, don't look at me.
Ask Tom about the football.
Ask my quarterback about the footballs. I don't know anything about footballs. And he even went to this weird Mona Lisa veto reference about my cousin Vinny. Remember, because she helped win the trial because she knew everything about automobiles, right? Everything about engines and transmissions and wheels and everything.
She was great in that movie.
She was great. Well,
Ticking.
She only won the Academy Award for it.
Yep.
Marissa Tomei. Yeah. So the point was, he even went to that to say, don't look at me. I'm not like Mona Lisa Vito. I don't know everything about cars like she did. And he's talking about football. Well, this is a Bill Belichick whose teams practice with soaked footballs to see how they can.
All kinds
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He knows about inflation and deflation. He knows all about football. He knows as much about footballs as Marissa Tomei's character knew about cars in that movie. I'm sorry, I'm going to call BS on that one.
And Coach Belichick puts his team through any situation because he doesn't want, if it's raining, say, well, the ball was slick. Well, it might be. Well, you practice with it, so you should be used to it.
Right.
He'll wet the ball, freeze it, because if it's cold in New England, Coach Belichick wants to remove any situation where a player could possibly use the ball was wet, the ball was frozen, this or that, as an excuse. He doesn't like excuses. And what he really detests is someone trying to upstage the team. Now, maybe Tom Brady is not intentionally trying to upstage the team. He had a gash. It was sewn up. He was able to play, and he played well. But that's been more of the story. It's like Tom Brady wasn't big enough that he's going to, 5 Super Bowls. He's 4-time MVP. Going to probably win another one. He's 40. That wasn't enough. Coach Belichick, like, you guys are just adding the media. You just feeding into this frenzy.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. And every time, Tom, you come out here and try to play it up, I'm going to come right behind you and let the air out of this balloon.
So, bottom line, what is this all a struggle for? Credit. Coach credit, quarterback credit. You and I go back and forth about it, and trust me, those two are going back and forth about it. And it started with Deflategate because Coach Belichick got discredited for Spygate because that was all on him.
Yes.
He got turned in and busted, right? It was all on the head coach.
Right.
So he took a shot. There's some taint on his career because of that.
Some people will never give him the greatest head coach because of that taint.
Right. So when it came to a Deflategate allegation, he wanted the world to know, I'm innocent. Ask him.
Right.
Maybe he knows about deflated footballs because I don't know anything about it. That way, he's going to preserve his legacy, but you can question his legacy. It's classic throw quarterback under bus because he could have said, I got my quarterbacks back. You know, like we're in this together and we don't know anything about it. It wasn't a we, it was an I and him.
For me, Skip, even if you take, so they've been together for 18 years. So even if you split it right down the middle, you take Coach Belichick 9 years going backwards to those 3 Super Bowls, you take the 9 years moving forward.
Yep.
Even if you just take the last 9 years, he wins this Super Bowl, he's still the greatest coach you ever coached in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's notwithstanding the previous 9 years in which he has 3. So even if you want to say those are tainted, okay, take that away.
All right.
9 and 3 Super Bowls. You still and look at what he's been able to do. The division titles, the win percentage. He's still the greatest coach. So no matter how you try to get around it, he's still what he is. You might not like the way he does press conference. I wish he was more personable, but that's who he is. I've grown to become accustomed to that. But there's no denying his eye for talent and his ability. Coaches come and go, players come and go. But Coach Belichick and what he's been able to do is nothing short of, I'm going to be able to make the case when it's all said and done, that he's the greatest coach, regardless of profession.
Joy, we were doing so well because we were on the same page for this whole A block of the show. And now Shannon Sharp, who's finally learned the ropes of the show, he knows we're coming up against our first commercial break. And he just made outrageous, out of bounds, wrong statements about Coach Belichick that we will revisit later in the show.
He even said wrap after Skip.
Yep.
That's still a little troublesome, though. No. Egos will get in the way. Is Kevin Love the problem in Cleveland?
Oh, definitely.
What's that?
Definitely.